What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. I know on yesterday's video I said I wasn't going to do one on Saturday, but then I thought, why would I not spend my Saturday afternoon recording a video and getting one out for you? So I put out a tweet asking you for your random drafts to be sent in so I could use them in a video. So thanks to everyone that sent me one in. I've picked 4 drafts. Now I have kind of picked different ones. So there's something different to talk about for each one. Going to go through different players, what my current thoughts and stuff on them are. And I know a lot of people liked the first video and asked me to do another one. So here it is. If you do enjoy it, give it a like. If you're new around here, hit subscribe if you haven't done already, and I'll jump into it. So first up is Matrix FPL, aka FPL Matrix. Now, this one might take a little bit longer to do because obviously it's the first one. And on the other teams, I'm not going to go through kind of the same points on the same players because it's kind of pointless. Because guess what? My opinion doesn't change from one team to the next. So just quickly looking at £4.5 million goalkeepers, my preference is still there. Exactly who to go for, I don't have a strong opinion either way. I've chosen McCarthy because of the first 16 fixtures, because the first 16 is when I have to use my wildcard buy. But obviously, if you're going to wildcard early, game week like 8 or 9 or 10 or even earlier than that, then the fixtures your goalkeeper has, which are the best, might change. It's worth looking at that, having to think about when you might wildcard and kind of going from there. In terms of double walls defence, I like it personally. I've currently got Sice and Vinagre in my team. I think they're good value options. The reason people don't like it is because obviously Johnny's injured. That's why Vinagre's in the first place. And Doherty's gone. So they're worried about clean sheets. But for me, they weren't the key reason the Wolves kept clean sheets. They got a very good core team there. Bolly, even in midfield as well, like the likes of Matinho and players like that. And I think the system is just there for clean sheets. They're one of the best sides in the league when it comes to defensive returns when everyone is fit. And I just don't think someone like Doherty, as good as he is in FPL terms, like getting forward, getting into the box for Wolves, he's a fine defender. There's nothing wrong with him, but I don't think he's like so amazing that he's going to be a big loss to Wolves in terms of defensive unit. And I think the fixtures are so good after Man City as well in Game Week 2 that I'd happily double up on them as it stands right now. There's other players you could consider, but I don't mind it at all. In terms of £4 million defenders, Mitchell definitely my favourite one right now because he started the last 3 pre-season friendlies, and for a team like this that's got Van der Beek on the bench, you need someone that's going to play in Game Week 1. Ferguson might play longer term as a £4 million defender, but Mitchell is going to be the one that plays from the off, so he's currently my choice as well. We'll get to Van der Beek in a second. In terms of Ziyech, like I don't know. I'm coming kind of warming to him a little bit. People making some good cases for him. I do think Chelsea are going to do well, so going for the double up on Chelsea attack is not a bad plan at all. So yeah, I don't really have any big opinions on Ziyech at this point. Like Dele Alli could be an option if you wanted Spurs play it instead, but Ziyech could be decent for that kind of price. Now, when I asked for the teams, I asked for people to send me their key concerns. So for this one, it was Che Adams minutes, and obviously Van der Beek is a big punt. Now, Che Adams, we know he's probably going to be like a, 70, 75-minute man and then subbed off. Doesn't necessarily matter as long as he can get points before that happens, but it's always going to be something that happens most weeks. I do think he's going to start the season as kind of first choice alongside Ings, but that could quickly change. Maybe Shane Long comes in or someone like that. But I got no real issues with him. The only things I'll consider maybe is Che Adams and Mitrovic, both 6 million. If you needed to upgrade them to like a Chris Wood and Antonio or Calvert-Lewin or someone like that, how would you do that? That's something to think about. Because if you had to stay at that price point, there are other £6 million forwards like Ayew, Rodrigo, Bamford. But how many of those players are you definitely going to want to switch to? You could just keep these 2 long term, of course, but I would just be maybe thinking ahead about how you could potentially upgrade to those players. In terms of Van der Beek, look, he is a punt. I don't know, even as a Man United fan, I don't really know how he's going to fit in. Like, I've looked at where he's played for Ajax a lot, kind of central midfield, more attacking midfield, like where Bruno plays. And it's worth remembering when Bruno first came into Man United, when Pogba and Matic weren't playing in that double pivot because of kind of injuries and stuff. It was only for a few games, but Bruno Fernandes did play a bit deeper. I think even at one point, Bruno kind of stepped back a bit, and Andreas Pereira was playing further forward. So will that happen with Van der Beek? Will Bruno Fernandes come a bit deeper, kind of dictate play from deeper with Van der Beek going further forward? Maybe, and if he does, for 7 million, could be an absolute bargain. But will he play there? Will he play deep? Will he start on the bench? Will we continue with the 4-2-3-1 that we finished with last season with Matic, Pogba, Bruno as the central players? Maybe. I just don't know. My gut instinct is that he'll play. It's just where he'll play. For 7 million, it's not really that bad of a punt. It's not like he's coming at 9.5 million. So I don't mind it. And I think when you've got a core team that, for the most part, there's not too many issues with any of those players. Of course, everyone's got their own opinion on who they want. but there's no big standout issues in that first 11 for me. And obviously you can bench like the likes of Mitchell in game week 2 and play Van der Beek instead. So as a kind of one player out of, you know, the whole first 11 punt, it's not the worst one. I hope it works out. It's not the kind of player I would probably go for in game week 1. But if it pays off, suddenly, like if that pays off in game week 2, because he's playing in an advanced role, you watch his price skyrocket. You cannot have someone playing number 10 for Man United at 7 million for very long. He'll be 7.2, 7.3 by game weeks 3 and 4, especially if he scores. So could be a good punt. It's definitely a punt. Not something I would do, but that shouldn't let you, shouldn't put you off. So next up is Suj, one half of Planet FPL, which I'm sure you've heard of. If you haven't, just go and find them at Planet FPL on Twitter. Obviously, they do about 57 podcasts a week or something like that. Whether or not Suj is the better half of the two, I'll let you decide. Let me know in the comments below. But he sent me through this team, which is the no premium midfielders team. Now, it doesn't really matter about my opinion because Suj always is different. He's always different in his team picks and why he wants to choose certain players. So I'm not even going to try and talk him round to going for Aubameyang or Salah because I know it won't matter. Let's talk about some of the players that are different that haven't been in other teams. So Mahrez, right? If he gets regular minutes, he'll be one of the most valuable players this year. 8.5 million. Very surprised he didn't go up in price. Of course, there's competition like him, Sterling, Foden. They can always all play in these wide positions. They've got this Torres guy as well. So that's something to be concerned about a little bit. Obviously, there's only 3 subs now as well, not 5 like there was post-lockdown. I don't know if that makes things better or worse for Mahrez. We could see him start more regularly and then Foden come on rather than... And plus, of course, as well, the other thing is they've had a break now. They've kind of got up to fitness as well after playing all those matches post-lockdown. Potentially that will help. They won't need to swap around the team so much. But I don't know. If he gets minutes, he's fantastic. If he doesn't... Like, it's all well and good him getting a haul every now and again, but if he's getting 1-pointers every other week as well, it's not necessarily fantastic. I don't know. If you think he's going to get like 1 or 2 points and then a haul and then maybe 2 starts and then a 1-pointer, and in those 2 starts he also gets like 8 or 9 points, he could be decent. And he is so good, such good value at 8.5. It's just the minutes, always the concern. Also for Man City as well. I don't know about starting with them because it's Wolves away in game week 2. That's got to be one of the more difficult games of the season as well. So not only do they miss the first game, they then have to play Wolves away. So personally for me, it'd be game week 3 where I'd be looking at them. But again, I know that's not going to put Suj off. I like having Martial in from the start. I think he's a good pick. I like the forward line, to be honest. I think obviously there's no Aubameyang or Salah, but if you're comfortable with captaining a different attacker, it's not the end of the world because you've got a much more... a much better spread of value, essentially. Instead of Mahrez and Martial, Souček and Mitchell will play. 5 at the back in game week 1 is a little bit different, but it could work out. I know that Trent and Robertson are going to be in for the long haul. I think Arsenal and Chelsea might make it not worth having double Liverpool defence for the first kind of 3 fixtures, but after that it could be decent again. I don't know, it'd be interesting to see how many clean sheets they get. I reckon they're going to get something similar to last year, like maybe 15, 16. Not all the way back up to that 21 they got a couple of seasons ago. So we'll see if they're good value. Obviously, they're so attacking. You know they're going to get 180 to 200 points. So if you want them in for the long haul, it's the best way to do it. It's just have them from the start. Doherty, I think he's going to do well at Spurs. He's not going to be the same attacker, but he could just get more assists rather than goals. I think defensively, I'd like to see Spurs do a bit better, but he is in there now instead of Aurier. So that could help as well. That could improve them defensively. So I still think it'd be a good pick. I'm actually considering him instead of maybe a £6 million forward as well. So yeah, it's not going to be the same Doherty at Wolves, but I don't think that should necessarily put people off hugely. The two players I'll talk about, Ramsdale and Tierney, to finish off. Tierney is someone I like, right? Ever since he came into the league, I saw how many assists and stuff he got in the Scottish League, and he was someone I wanted, but he's so injury prone. And also, if you look at kind of the numbers for Arsenal, they weren't good defensively last season, for the whole of last season. Well, you could say when Arteta came in, that changed. But it didn't really. The numbers don't show that. They maybe got a little bit better, but that was it. They weren't suddenly like an elite defence. They've made plenty of centre-back sign, like Saliba's now available. They've obviously signed Gabriel as well. But it could take a while for this to gel, right? They've got 2 opening good fixtures, and then how many defensive returns are we expecting after that? I don't know. For 5.5 million, he could be great value, but I also think he could be... not a bad pick's the wrong word, but I just don't see too many defensive returns after the first couple. And then you're relying on attacking returns, which could happen, but he's a very injury-prone player, and potentially you might have to be looking at kind of transferring out later down the line. So I don't mind it. He is 5.5 million as well, so that's an easy swap to Chilwell, who would be my personal favourite once he's fit in that position. So maybe that's an option as well. As for Ramsdale, for me, again, to spend that extra 0.5 million on a 4.5, you basically have to ask yourself, is Ramsdale as good as Dean Henderson? Because again, I've been looking at the numbers for Sheffield United, pretty much the same amount of expected goals conceded as Burnley. The difference was that Dean Henderson saved a lot of those chances, whereas Pope didn't. And that's why Burnley conceded like another 11 goals. Now, again, you could say eye test comes into play here. You know how organised Sheffield United are. They don't give away too many chances. But the numbers are telling me they do give away quite a few good quality chances. Around the 50 mark last year. And maybe they were a little bit lucky to keep as many clean sheets as they did because of Dean Henderson. If you think Ramsdale comes in and does a similar job, then Sheffield United could be decent. The opening set of 5 fixtures are okay. But personally, my preference is to save 0.5 million. But again, this isn't me trying to turn other people's teams into my team. Just giving my thoughts. I like that it's different. I like the no premium midfield role way to play. It's not how I would go. But yeah, there we go. Mara's in for game week 3 for me. Otherwise, looking pretty good. So this is Harry's team. Now, I did say that there's 1 million in the bank, which is Ings to Martial, that his worry is triple Southampton. But I don't think you should worry about that at all. First of all, it's not triple attack. Like if it was Ings, Adams, and Ward-Prowse or Armstrong, then maybe I would be saying yeah, but it's not. It's double. Plus, you're already telling me you're getting rid of one of them in game week 2. So having double Southampton attack against Crystal Palace, I think is perfectly fine. Crystal Palace in the past is not a team that I would have targeted for many goals, but recently they've not been keeping clean sheets at all. They're letting so many goals post lockdown. I think that could be an issue again for them. So Ings and Adams, I think, is fine. And obviously, you're already upgrading 1 to Martial anyway. So that's a nice strategy. It's good to have a plan. And also, if you've got 1 million in the bank, that means you've still got 0.5 left over. So one place I would look, and again, I'm not like trying to put people off certain players, but Saliba for me would be a massive concern because there's absolutely no guarantee that he starts the season. 4.5 million defender for Arsenal could be incredible, especially if they can actually improve their defensive returns, unlike what we saw last season. But there's no guarantee he starts. If they play a back 4, you'd expect Davern Luiz to play, so that only leaves 1 slot. They've just signed Gabriel as well. Remember, Saliba came in last year. They just loaned him back out straight away. So I don't know about Saliba. I'd be put off by him. You could go to a different 4.5, or you could spend 0.5 on a 5 million defender like Sice, Reece James, if you wanted to take a punt at Chelsea as well. That would still leave you the 0.5 to do Ings to Martial, depending on any kind of price rises or price drops or anything like that. So overall, I quite like the team. You've got a nice midfield there. Usually, in seasons gone past, the money has been in midfield rather than up front. That could change this year with the likes of Ings, Jimenez, Martial, Werner. There's a lot of options in the striker position. But I like Son. A few people talking about... I've talked about post-lockdown as well, and Son maybe didn't look as good as he did the rest of the season. But the thing with him is... every season he's been at Spurs, when he's played, he's done extremely well, both from a goal and an assist point of view. I don't buy into this kind of feeling that he's going to be hugging the touchline for Spurs on that left side and not going to be coming centrally at all. I just don't see it. There was a few times I saw where Kane kind of played him through and either he was just offside or it just didn't quite work out. But he was through on goal a few times. And I just think if that happens again, it's going to be massive points. And he's had a price drop to 9 million as well. And if you just swap Saliba to another 4.5 million defender... You've only used 0.5 to go from Ings to Martial, like I already said. So you've got 0.5, you could go from Son to Rashford. You could drop him down to like a Dele Alli at some point, maybe Havertz. At the time of recording this, I don't know how much Havertz is going to be, but he signed for Chelsea. Could be 8.5, 9 million, the same as Son. So you've got options there. So having him in, either he plays really well, he does play a little bit more centrally or comes in off that left more often. We see Spurs start well, they've got really good fixtures, you just keep him. Or... you've got options to go to other players. So I quite like the plan. The only player that sticks out for me is Saliba. Bardsley on the bench, by the way. I'm definitely coming round to having a Burnley defender instead of Justin because I'm just not sure about the Leicester defensive return. So I like that pick as well. So overall good. Saliba will be a swap for me, but I like that you've got a plan and a kind of strategy for Man United players. So Daniel up next. So I think when you look at a team like this, right, you're over the person that says, oh, wow, you've got Vardy, you've got Kane, you've got Salah, you've got Aubameyang. Or you're the person that says, ouch, you've got Ward-Prowse, Saint-Maximin and Matinho. And I would kind of side somewhere in the middle. Like, at the end of the day, if you want those 4 big hitters, you shouldn't let people like me put you off that. If you want them, go for it. You have to be willing to make sacrifices. So at some point, you're probably going to have to take money out of one of them. Whoever's not performing, whoever has bad fixtures, whatever it might be, you have to take a bit of money out to maybe upgrade those midfielders. So I don't know if Ward-Prowse, Saint-Maximin and Matinho would kind of... not last you the season, but even last you the first 5 to, maybe 10 game weeks. I'm not a big fan of Matinho as a pick. I know he's only 5.5. You've said in your tweet that you're looking at Saka. He could be an option instead. I just don't think there's enough upside to have a Matinho, even at 5.5 million. You could go Souček instead, potentially. Saka, of course, as well. Armstrong, maybe, but you probably wouldn't want to double on Southampton midfielder, though. I fully get that. Ward-Prowse, I think, is an okay pick. He's not very exciting, but he does tick over for 6 million. Potentially on penalties as well. We'll have to see what happens between him and Ings. So overall, like, I don't want to. I'm trying not to sit here and kind of trying to influence people to basically go for my team. But I probably would go for one less premium player and upgrade a bit in midfield to whoever that might be. Maybe a Greenwood, a Ziyech, an Ali, or someone like that. That's just my preference, though. Again, if you're happy with the 4 big attackers, keep it, and maybe look at changing Matinho around or something like that. Unless you really think he's going to do well, in which case just keep him. Justin, I kind of just spoke about. Evans suspended for the first 3 game weeks. Ricardo not there, he's injured. Chilwell's been sold. I worry a little bit about their defensive returns, even though the fixtures are good, don't get me wrong. But long term, how much is he going to play? He's not going to have that right back spot when Ricardo is back. Will they move to a back 5 and one of those will play as kind of right centre back instead? Maybe. But personally, I'm going probably for a Burnley defender instead. Otherwise, yeah, really like the team. Obviously, Brewster, just to kind of say to anyone that doesn't realise, which I'm sure they do, if he doesn't get loaned out, then there's no use having him on your bench because he's not going to play anyway, and you don't want to lock yourself into losing a Liverpool spot. So you're better off just going for any other 4.5 million forward and giving you the option of having a third Liverpool player instead. The other thing you could do here, by the way, just something to think about, if you wanted those 4 premium attackers, is instead of playing 3-5-2, you could play 4-4-2. So you've already got Davis, for example. You could drop one of those midfielders to a 4.5, like a Reed or something like that for Fulham, whoever it is. That gives you an extra million to spend. So straight away, you could either play Davis, you could upgrade him to Doherty, whatever it might be. That might be a better way to play. You could use the million to keep Davis, but upgrade Justin to a 5.5, for example. However it might be. That's something I might consider. If I wanted 4 premium attackers, maybe go 4 at the back instead. Might provide a little bit better value because obviously you get clean sheets as well as attack and returns. But overall, I like it. It's different. Again, I tried to choose these drafts. They were different. 4 premium attackers. I haven't seen that very much. Again, the only thing I would say about Vardy, no Maddison, no Ricardo, no Chilwell. How much will that play into how many attack and returns he can get? My only concern with him basically is that. But West Brom to start with, not a bad fixture. So that's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. This is actually the second time that I had to record it because I changed the setting and it didn't record my mic. Yes, I recorded the whole video and it didn't record my mic. So I've had to do it twice. Hopefully it was good. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a like. Like I said, I didn't want to give them a rating out of 10 or say that they were awful or anything like that because everyone thinks differently and that's perfectly fine. That's actually better than us all having the same team. So I really like the ones that were sent in. I do appreciate all the people that sent me one in. It's probably up to like 200 plus at this point. Can't use them all, otherwise this video would be ridiculously long. And imagine if I'd record like a 5-hour video and then I had to re-record it. That'd be an absolute nightmare. If you've enjoyed this content and you want to see more, which of course there will be plenty to come, please do hit that subscribe button. We're actually getting close to 80k now. I think the 100k push seriously is on for close to the start of the season. If you can help me out, at least 50% of you watching this will have not hit that button. If you've been enjoying my content, please make sure you do, and appreciate everyone that's hit that button so far. I did say there wasn't going to be a video on Saturday, changed my mind, put one out. There'll be another one tomorrow, and I might even stream tomorrow as well. And then I've got all the regular content coming out next week. Team selection, game week preview, streams, deadline streams are back, hopefully for every single game week as well. I'm excited if you can't tell. Hit subscribe, hit like, leave me a comment below, and I'll catch you again soon for another video.